All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're tackling a seriously intriguing concept from the channel Spellbinding Universe. Now, this is something you'd usually reserve for sci-fi movies or comic books, right? But, and here's the kicker, this source actually treats it as a practical, learnable skill. We're going to unpack their entire guide on how to master telepathic communication. So, whether you're a total skeptic or a hardcore believer, this framework is absolutely fascinating to break down.
I mean, let's just ask ourselves a pretty wild question. What if communicating mind to mind isn't just magic? What if it's a natural ability that we could actually practice and master? You know, we've all had that moment, right? You're staring at the back of someone's head across a crowded room, and suddenly they turn around and look right at you. Well, according to our source, tapping into that kind of connection is a skill that's totally within reach for anyone willing to put in the effort. It really challenges us to look at human connection through a completely different lens.
So to understand exactly how the source breaks this all down, we're going to explore their 8-step framework across 4 main areas. 1. Beyond science fiction. 2. Preparing the connection. 3. Sending your message. And 4. The path to mastery.
All right, section 1. Beyond science fiction. Defining the practice. Let's establish a really clear baseline for what we actually mean when we throw around the word telepathy.
So the absolutely crucial point here is that telepathy, according to the source, is officially defined as a form of extrasensory perception, or ESP. It's an ability used not just to passively pick up on the thoughts, emotions, and intentions of the people around you, but to actively transmit your own thoughts and feelings outward. And it does this by entirely bypassing the need for physical gestures or spoken words. The whole shebang happens purely in the mind.
Now, forget the instant, effortless mind reading you see in the movies, where you just hear someone's thoughts booming like a loudspeaker in your head. The source makes it very clear that real telepathic communication is a learned skill. It requires intense focus, dedicated practice, and a very deliberate step-by-step effort to pull off properly. It's like working out a muscle you didn't even know you had. Moving on to section 2, preparing the connection, the mental environment. Because, well, you can't exactly just shout a thought across a crowded mental room. You really have to set the stage first. The instruction from our source kicks off with step 1, finding a quiet place. You need to relax, take a few deep breaths, and totally eliminate external distractions to carve out a clear space in your mind. Then you move right into step 2, which is focusing on the specific person you want to communicate with and establishing a link. And finally, step 3 is initiating that contact. So let's break down how exactly you form that link.
To actually make this connection work, the source heavily emphasizes using strong, really vivid imagery in your mind's eye. You're instructed to literally picture a connection bridging the gap between your mind and theirs. They suggest visualizing a cord, maybe a beam of light, or honestly any image that really resonates with you. The main goal here is to watch this mental link grow stronger and clearer as you pour all of your focus into it.
Okay, so once you see that beam of light or that cord clearly, you move to step 3. And look, before you start trying to send complex emotions or super detailed instructions, you gotta start small. It's simply about sending a basic, telepathic introductory greeting right through that visualized connection. Just a simple hello or I am here to establish the channel. You want to focus purely on pushing this short message right through the connection you just built. Which brings us to section 3, sending your message, the core action. With the connection established and the greeting sent, we enter the second phase, the actual transmission of a more complex message.
This right here is the core action loop of telepathy according to the framework. Step 4 is where you isolate a specific idea or emotion. Step 5 is the act of actively sending it across your mental connection. And step 6 is the crucial receptive phase, where you just wait to see what comes back. During step 5, the sending phase, active visualization is absolutely critical. You can't just, think the thought. You must picture it physically traveling through that cord or beam of light you created earlier. The source really stresses that you need to imagine it arriving clearly and accurately in the other person's mind. It is all about intentional, laser-focused delivery.
Then comes step 6. Honestly, this is kind of like waiting for that little typing bubble to pop up on a text message. You've sent your thought, and now you're paying super close attention to the feedback. The source notes that this reply probably won't be a clear voice speaking in your head. Instead, you need to be highly sensitive to subtle images, sudden emotions, or even just physical sensations that sort of pop into your perception. You then take these impressions and use them to refine your ongoing communication.
And finally, Section 4, the path to mastery, practice, and implications. Let's bring the energy back up and look at what it takes to actually hone these abilities over time and what it could mean for all of us if we actually did it.
The source is highly realistic here, acknowledging that, hey, mastering this isn't exactly easy. Step 7 emphasizes that mastering the art requires practicing regularly with different people and in all sorts of different settings. You basically have to experiment with different techniques to see what works for your unique mind. And step 8, well, that's all about mindset. You have to trust in yourself, remain open to new experiences, and crucially, stay curious without getting discouraged by the inevitable setbacks you're going to face along the way. Persistence is literally everything here.
But what's really fascinating is how the source zooms out to the macro level at the very end of their guide. They suggest that if humanity collectively mastered this 8-step process, the potential benefits would be absolutely staggering. Think about it. Without the barrier of spoken language, we could achieve a vastly greater overall understanding of one another. We'd experience deepened empathy by actually feeling others' emotions directly, leading to some truly profound cross-cultural connections. It would be a real game changer.
So I'm going to leave you with this provocative final thought, directly inspired by our source material. How would our world transform if we could connect purely through mind and empathy? If we stripped away all the constant misunderstandings of spoken words, would we finally find a way to truly, deeply understand each other? It is an incredibly powerful concept to ponder. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep exploring the amazing possibilities of the human mind.